And welcome to the replay. Wow, some of you are just right on it. And that's awesome. Welcome, Georgia Green Eyes 65. Does that mean you have green eyes? You're in Georgia and you were born in 1965? Hi, Melanie. Vanessa. Vanessa, nice to see you. Boy, you are a rock star, Vanessa. I got to say, you are just a rock star. Juliet Nelson, welcome. And happy hump day. Yes, I suppose it is that. Charmed mess. You know, I've decided, excuse me, I've decided that I'm going to, Nina, yes, I'm going to make a cheat sheet. I have to. I'm going to go through and I'm going to take notes on everybody's username because I have to figure this out. Hi, Lisa. You are more than welcome, Vanessa. Everybody follow Vanessa. That's an order. Okay. Rob is here. What does my cup say today? Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the number of moments that take our breath away. That's it for me, folks. Okay, so hey, so welcome to the LOA Scope. My name is Bob Doyle. I was am a featured teacher / expert in the film and book The Secret, which is all about the law of attraction. Thank you for the nice emoticons and emojis, and thank you for the hearts. I'm glad I'm on today too, and it was last second, I can tell you. I mean, last second. If you guys see the movie Broadcast News, and there's this scene where he's trying to run a tape, the story's running live right now, and there's a scene that has to be part of the story, and he's running down, and she's tripping over things, hands it to the person, puts it in, pops it in, or last second. That's what this Periscope was about. Aloha, Judy. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, Judy Bishop. I thought you were a different Judy. Well, welcome, Judy. You seem to be new to this whole conversation, so it's great, not this conversation, but just Periscope in general. So welcome. I hope you have fun, create a profile, and start broadcasting. Mucho problems. Well, that's not a very self-affirming, username. Ordinary blue-collar American. USMC veteran. Uses Z1 Smooth Gimbal or Joby. Well, I don't know what you're talking about here, but I'm sure glad that you're here. So, ironical, one of my favorite words. Okay, so yes, today we are taking on, I just read the cup, Melanie. I just read the whole thing. I'll read it one more time, just for Melanie. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the number of moments that take our breath away. Doesn't really have anything to do with, well, I'm glad you have a great life. Awesome. So today we are talking about relationships. And I think we've probably done it before, but I feel like this is going to be a different level of conversation. And it's a tricky one. It's a tricky conversation. I want to share something with you though before I get started in this. Sometimes we have to step up to things when we're not feeling that. How do I say this? You know how sometimes you go through stuff in your life and you've really, like, it's stuff you have to sort of be with for a little bit of time, and you're processing things. You're having a transformative moment, and it could take the course of a few days, but you can't take yourself out of life necessarily and have that. You got to do what you got to do. You got to do your job. You got to take care of your friends and family, that type of thing. You got to function. But at the same time, there's all this tremendous stuff going on in your head, and you're feeling a tremendous shift, and you're handling that and all of that. Anyway, it happens to me and a lot of other people that I know of. And I just have to tell you, honestly, that that's something that's going on for me right now. And relationships play into it in a pretty major way. So I'm coming at this conversation from a slightly different point of view. You too, huh? Yeah, I think it happens to a lot of people. I mean, obviously, we all have times where we're going through stuff in our personal lives, and we still have to function in society. So I guess that's pretty much what I'm talking about. In my case, this is it's a pretty deep introspective thing that I'm going through, and by the time I'm through it, it will be tremendously impactful on my life. And I really, truly believe that I will occur as at least very energetically different to you and everyone. Oh, I'll still be that fun-loving, lovable Bob Doyle you know and love. But what I'm hoping to, what I'm intending, what I see very clearly is a certain lightness that I've been. Relationships, sort of, yes. Romantic relationships, they play into it, but it's all relationships. All relationships. Now, the romantic ones throw a different thing into it, and we'll definitely address that. But yeah, just there's a certain. So what you need to know about me, if you don't know that, yes, I'll be more specific, believe me. You know, some of you know that a couple of years ago, I finalized a divorce. It was a couple of years in the making after a 24-year marriage. And if you've ever been through a divorce or are going through that kind of, I guess a evolving of a relationship, you know how it can really take a toll on you on many, many different levels, no matter who you are, no matter what you know, no matter how enlightened you are, or whatever. Because of how you're enmeshed with that type of a relationship. And so, but we have other relationships besides spousal relationships that are just as deep, friendships, even working relationships, family, obviously. And we all, and they impact us in very deep ways. And from a law of attraction point of view, when your relationships bring you turmoil, especially if they're long-lasting relationships or important or significant relationships in your life, what it can do to you energetically is it's very significant. I had no idea just how significant, but it impacts every area of your life. But part of what I want to talk about, and certainly what I'm exploring for myself right now and moving through, is where did that all come from? You know, we have been trained in how to do relationships. And a lot of how we as human beings and society, of course cultures are different all over the world, but how we do relationships has been taught to us about what is right and what is wrong, what is appropriate, what is inappropriate, what should make us happy, what should make us feel sad, what's wrong, what's right, all of that stuff. We've been taught all that, and for the most part, we bought into it. And one of the things that we've been taught is that the ending of a relationship or the evolving of a relationship where two people or more might go separate ways is a bad or sad thing. This is what we've been taught. And I mean, for generation after generation, I don't even know how many thousands of years. A lot of it was created from religion. I have something in my teeth, and that's disgusting. I'm so sorry you had to see that. But hey, we're all friends here. I just didn't want you thinking the whole time, he's got something in his teeth, and he didn't. See, I told you it was last second. Anyway, and so what happens is, as we go through our life, and we're naturally, relationships are going to come in and out of our lives, and nobody is perfect. That is correct. But yet we are. Isn't that ironical? Relationships come in and out of our lives very naturally based on lots of things. But when we boil down to it from a law of attraction point of view, it's all the energy that we're putting out and things. And sometimes people come into our lives to serve a certain purpose, to help us move from one place to another. These relationships can be, a day, a one meeting, an hour, or they can last weeks, months, or years, or even a lifetime. And sometimes what happens is when we get to a point in our Smoogie Cookie, hold on, I just have to remember your name. Oh, we've had this conversation before, and now I can't remember the result of the conversation. Anyway, welcome. I am of the opinion and belief that it is, and I'm sure that we all know this on some level, but not all relationships that come into our life are meant to last a lifetime, right? They're not. They're just simply not. And sometimes that's very easy to accept. Like you go to a party, you meet people, you have these relationships that last 30 minutes. You may or may not get something out of them, and you never see them again. It's no big deal. Nobody's sad over it. No one's feeling guilty. Oh, I met that guy for 5 minutes, and I haven't even called him back, right? But there are some relationships that we add a tremendous amount of significance to, and again, a lot of that significance is taught, like how long a relationship should last, how hard we should fight for a relationship, and if we don't, then we're dropping the ball or we're giving up or whatever. It's when they could have lasted. Okay, sorry. I wish I would have. I'm guessing you may have seen. I may have said something before that, and I missed it, and I apologize. But once I get into sort of the content piece, it's hard for me to follow up on the comments. It's interesting that this topic got 13 people in the room, and the other day I had 30. I really would have thought that the relationship, it doesn't matter. You're here, and it's perfect that you're here. And there's replays, and if you feel like you want to share this, I know I sound kind of scattered, and I apologize for that. And I almost didn't do this. Scope because I knew I was going to come in halfway through a personal process that has to do with relationships. Normally, when I talk about relationships, I have a very clear thing that I say. I'm looking at it from a slightly deeper, yet a little bit half-baked level, and I'm just coming out being forthright with you on that. That this is a work in progress right now, and so you can take or leave what I have to say. But here's relationships when they go quote unquote wrong can do anything from give you a couple of bad days to destroy your life, depending on how you take on the evolving of a relationship. And what I think what I'm really trying to say is that a lot of the ideas about what relationships are supposed to be are things that we were taught and not at all natural. If we as human beings were never subjected to ideas of what was right and wrong about relationships, I believe, certainly the world would be a different place. And look, I'm not talking about, I don't believe that the world would be complete anarchy if some of in a bad way, if some of the value systems that have been put into place weren't there. Clearly, there's room for law and order. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a lot of stuff that we've been taught that has actually limited us and our human potential in a huge, huge way. What we can and cannot do, what is considered right and wrong. All of this right and wrong stuff is a human interpretation. Even really bad. I mean, but it is a human interpretation, and we've learned it. And I think in terms of relationships, because look, I know a lot of people struggle when they get into the law of attraction conversation with they want to now create a better and bigger life for themselves. And so their vision changes from what it's been their entire lives, and they've attracted the people into their lives based on who they've been, the vibration they've been putting out, if you will, for however many years, and now they want to change things, and so then as their vision changes, as their emotions change, all of that, their vibration changes, and they may or may not resonate with the people in their lives anymore, and that can be any level of person, any level of relationship, the guy next door, all the way up to your spouse or even your immediate family. So the conflict comes with, well, I'm feeling pulled this way and they're not liking that. They're rejecting it. It's causing conflict. There's causing arguing. I feel like I need to now move on from this relationship. And there's a deep knowing that that is the right thing to do because there's so much resistance over here that you're clear that if you give in to what the other person or people are wanting, then you are truly, very literally sacrificing your life for the benefit of others so that they can be more comfortable, so that they can be happy, as if you have the power to make them happy. The Honeymoon Effect by Bruce Lipton. I've never heard of that, but I will look it up. Thank you for that. This whole idea of living to please others, this is not a new concept. I certainly didn't make it up. But it is something that we face. If we could talk about the change of heart, it would be so painful. It would be so painful, or the younger people are a lot freer about sex than the older people as we had more programming. I'm going to have to look at these comments after the fact because I'm clearly getting way too scattered. But the point is about honoring yourself, and why we don't do that. What is it inside us that says that it's not right for us to be who we want to be, to go in the direction we want to go, because it's going to hurt somebody else's feelings, or it's going to confuse people, or it's going to cause pain or whatever, or chaos, that then makes it wrong. And that's where we've been taught. You see, I know that I found that a lot of my values, if you will, shifted a bit when I had a bigger understanding of the law of attraction and how things really work, because I was able to see how programmed we've been. That with values, if you will, that actually do not serve us as a species and are evolving and are moving forward. If you have a vision, if you find yourself at a point in your life when you have a vision, a grand vision, it inspires you, it's pulling at you, and you're like, yes, and you're finding yourself saying no to that because of somebody else, because of what somebody else is saying or what you fear that they will say, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, well, what decision are you going to make? Are you going to make the decision, well, I just need to keep this person happy. I need to keep this unit together. I need to do whatever. So I'm going to just sacrifice what I want to do and what I feel like I'm here to do. See, I'm saying it's tough, but a lot of it is tough because this is how we've been programmed. That if somebody were to leave, boy, this is a tough one because I know one day I'm going to be able to explain this much better. You're catching me at the very beginning. of some of this anyway. But, the judgment that happens when a person does something that society as a whole or a group of people don't agree with, the judgment that happens creates sometimes in, let's say you, if you're the one moving on or whatever, this sense of guilt because I'm hurting people, I'm confusing people, I'm letting people down, I'm whatever, and that can paralyze you, and it creates this vibration in you that doesn't serve you. And guys, I'm just being really honest, and that's what I have struggled with since I left my marriage. Because I have 3 children. One is young, 15, so the dissolution of a family, no matter what the reasons were, it causes pain. But the thing is, what if we had all been taught for our whole lives that this is how life is? Relationships evolve. We move in and out. There doesn't have to be pain. There doesn't have to be hard feelings and all of this other stuff. That relationships can continue to evolve in their own way, or we know when it's done. And I'm not saying, when you leave in a divorce situation, you're not leaving your family necessarily. You might be leaving the relationship, but that's not how it's interpreted sometimes. And same with you're in a business relationship and you decide you want to go do something else, and because you're just not, this doesn't resonate with you anymore, and you move on, and people are confused. Well, you made a commitment, you did this, that, and the other thing, right? And that's when all the values and morals about commitments and breaking them and all of that other stuff come into play. There are reasons. 2150 AD. Never heard of that either. Lynn, you just keep joining. How many of you are there out there? I forgot what I was going to say again. Every time I read a comment, boom. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I know that there's a lot of people who are in this situation where they're struggling with following their passion, following what they believe is their path and purpose. Just one of you. You just like to pop up a lot to remind. I'm here. We're struggling because then of the problem it causes in a relationship. There's a certain amount of, you see, because not everyone's going to follow you on your journey of enlightenment or following the passion, and they've been taught what they've been taught. And when you go up against another person's value system and it's their deep values, you're not going to win. And you got to let go of needing to win. Like, you got to let go of the need to make sure that everybody's happy, because it's not up to you. They'll put it on you. Oh yes, very easy to put it on you and say, you've made us miserable. Look at what you did. And it's not about not taking responsibility that your actions did in fact cause a reaction in other people, but you can't take responsibility for their reactions. Their reactions are based on their beliefs of what's right and wrong or whatever. And look, the whole planet may agree with them, but it's still about, there's some times, man, when it is about you. It's not about you making everybody happy. It's not about you doing the right thing in other people's eyes. It's about you doing the right thing for you. Because look, this is your experience, your life experience, the gift that you have been given. And if you decide to trash what you really want to do and who you're here to be because other people aren't going to like it, think about that. Think about the cost. So I thought about that cost for a lot of years before the marriage actually ended. I just kept thinking, if I end this, it's going to be tougher than I can handle, right? And so I didn't do it. I just kept trying and kept trying to force that square peg in a round hole. And finally the day came when I was like, I have to live my life because I feel like I'm dying here. It had nothing to do with my family per se. It didn't have anything to do with not loving everyone involved and respecting everyone involved. It had nothing to do with that. It had nothing to do with wanting to escape my family. But in this case, the relationship itself, the marriage itself, was causing so much internal conflict for me that I couldn't be Bob Doyle anymore. Which is being, whatever I was being, and I needed to do whatever it took to go on a journey to find myself again. And this is a journey I'm still on. And guys, it's not always fun. It's not always easy. It doesn't always feel good, But if I never took the step, that first step on the journey, I would never get there. So I would just spend the rest of my life in absolute compromise, and what I believe is an unacceptable compromise. All relationships, there's a little bit of compromise here and there, but there are acceptable compromises. Like, well, that's okay. This relationship is so worth it to me that I can deal with this happily deal with it. But when it's about the difference between you being who you are and not, and living the life that you are here to do, then that to me is an unacceptable compromise. But people accept it all the time, and they suffer over it. And I know that there are people who will see this video, see this scope, who are going through that right now, who are in an area of transition from a relationship, and they're suffering over it. And I guess what I want to say is, look, I feel you, I understand, but it's about keeping your eye on that vision. Remember why you're doing this. And also remember that as you step more powerfully into being who you are and what you're here to do, new relationships will occur. New relationships will appear. And one of the things that I've found in my case, because look, and I don't know how many people this is going to apply to, but one of the things that kept me stuck for so long was, well, what will like my family think of me if I leave and go follow my dream or whatever? What's going to happen? Am I going to destroy the relationships? All of that fear stopped me. But, ideally, what you want to do is follow your passion. Be happy. Show your family, show your friends, show your former coworkers, show all the people who are having upset around this that you're happy. And if they can't accept your happiness, then that's them. It's all them anyway. Their reactions are all them. You could have been the catalyst, but how they respond is their decision, their choice, all of it. So the very best that you can do, the best way to serve these people is to go out and live an amazing, amazing, abundant, happy, love-filled life. And if appropriate, you stay connected with them. You stay, you still communicate, and you say, look, I didn't vanish. I'm just not there in this capacity anymore. If it's a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship and you break up, it doesn't have to be like you never see them again. It doesn't have to be. Some people will say, well, then forget it. I'm never going to talk to you again. Or I'm never going to respect you again. Or I've decided to be angry at you for the rest of my life. Hypothetical, of course. I wouldn't know anything about that. But you can't take responsibility for that. But it's easy to do. And this is what yes, families can make following your heart hellish. And isn't that a shame? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't they celebrate your evolution? Shouldn't it be that the people who love you the most celebrate the fact that you have found what you're here to do and are going to go for it no matter what? Even if they don't like or necessarily understand it, they can still celebrate you because they love you and who you've been, right? But it's not that way all the time. And that is a societal thing. Whatever makes people respond that way angrily, feeling hurt, taking it personally, doing all that, that's learned, babes. That's learned. They should throw you a party and give you flowers. And just think how better served everybody is if that was the response. If people could celebrate your evolution, celebrate your excitement for this new life. How the relationships could actually grow instead of be severed or damaged. If we really could truly celebrate the fact when somebody goes, I got it, I know why I'm here. Because we go through so many years looking for that. And then when we find it, it should be celebrated by the people who love us. And then that way you can stay connected to them and celebrate together and hopefully inspire them to do the same thing for you. They don't want to get left behind, so they'd rather you stay small with them. Yeah, that is true in a lot of cases. They're not ready. It's not, and that's what I'm saying, guys. I'm treading dangerous ground here. But this whole idea that there are certain types of relationships that should be for life or there's something wrong, sorry, I've just never bought into that. It's interesting, so clearly I'm talking about marriage right here. I'm not saying that it's never right to stay with someone forever. I think it's wonderful when you find somebody that the relationship grows and evolves and resonates and just expands. And those people, those relationships are absolutely out there. I know those people. And it's a wonderful thing. But, you know, we as humans are living longer and longer and longer. And we're here to have an amazing, amazing expanse of experiences. It's not always going to be appropriate that you're with the same person forever. But that's what we've learned. And so if somebody decides that it's time to move on and the other person has a different value system, all hell breaks loose. And that's when that hellish thing that you mentioned comes up. And I don't believe really on a global scale that that's going to change during my lifetime. But when it comes down to it, guys, each of us as individuals is here having our own experience of life. And it's up to us to make it what it's going to be. We cannot depend on other people to create our lives for us or to make us happy or to make us feel comfortable. Wow, small room this morning. Okay. Too bad for them who weren't here. Anyway. I guess the overall, when I started this scope, I'm like, well, what's my ta-da at the end? And here's how to make it all work perfectly. I don't have that. At least not for the short term. You know, if you're in a situation where you're in an evolving relationship, let's put it that way. Again, it's about knowing where you're going and why. It's just like any vision with the law of attraction. You know, there's growth that takes place and there's some discomfort that happens as you grow and expand and move towards your vision. And what's going to keep you going is understanding why you're headed in that direction. Remember why it is a why must I do this inspired vision. So it's the same thing with you personally in your relationships or whatever. You know, to remember why did I decide that it was time to move on? Oh yes, because there's this amazing freaking thing. Yeah, autopilot. See, that's a dangerous way to be, and that's how most people are. And what can stop you from autopilot, though, if you don't like it, I'm not, you know, is having that vision. So you get very intentional about the direction that you're going, because once you do that, it requires active participation in your life, taking action, listening to your intuition, all of that stuff, keeping your eye on your vision. Weird how I touched my glasses when I said vision, right? By the way, so these thin optics that I told you about last week, which are the coolest thing ever, right? I'm going to show you again. I just carry them here on this little packet on the back of my phone, so they're always with me. How awesome is that? I always have them. And I was saying the other day, man, I wish I could just sell these, because everybody wants these things. Well, I don't sell them. But if you want to go get some for yourself, you can go to bobdoylelikesthis.com/glasses. And I think if you do that, you'll get, I think the whole point of me telling you that is that you get a discount or something. Anyway, all right, enough of that. I don't know if they don't scratch in the case. No, I haven't had any scratch. Hey, Sandal, good to have you here. I was very hurt when my ex left, but I knew it was a good thing for me. Yes, and so that's good. I mean, look, I'm not saying that there won't be some grieving. You know, and that grieving at the end of a relationship is inappropriate. But perpetual, eternal, lifelong grieving, not appropriate ever, under any circumstance. Under any circumstance. You know, because sometimes the people who are hurt, they make a decision, well, I'm just going to stay hurt, and that'll show them or something. And what is that doing? It's not doing anything. It's really just making them miserable and everyone around them miserable. You know, and that's where it gets sad for me. You know, to see that people are so attached to their whatever it is, that whether it's a belief system, value system, or whatever, that they would rather stay angry or miserable or whatever to be right, instead of letting it go and getting on with their own lives. That's where I think how we've been taught, and some of this stuff has just done us, hey, Avery, has done us a huge disservice as a species. In terms and slowed our evolution. All of this stuff, everything that we've learned about limited thinking and, you know, how you should feel bad or whatever. And it's all, where could we be? Where could we be as humans right now if none of that ever happened? If we were really just left to follow our hearts and build relationships and understand how relationships could work, how we can support each other, and it would just be a whole different world. I mean, there's so much that I could just go on and on about this. And it's interesting that the energetics of separation are complicated. They are complicated. They're very complicated. And that's kind of what, as I mentioned at the beginning of this scope, that as I'm going through this process myself, I'm seeing the layers of complexity, and I'm seeing this amazingly huge big picture view of humanity that is, it's really interesting. It's really an interesting sort of download that I'm in the middle of. And honestly, I was telling Lynn this morning, that I really believe that once I get to the end of this process, that'll probably be my next book. I haven't written a book since 2010, and my publisher's been like, "Where's the next book?" I don't have it. Well, it's not there. But this, I feel like, and this isn't just about relationships. It wouldn't be a book necessarily about relationships, but it would be a huge part of it, because relationships drive so much of how this planet works. I mean, it really is about how human beings relate to each other, causes them to make decisions that they make. I mean, if you think about it, it really comes down, because human beings are the ones who are causing all the problems. The animals are just fine. Thank you. They're not causing any problems. I mean, even if lions are, hey, here's an animal now. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Cody. Now, okay. I forget what I just said. Animals cause problems. Come here. Ta-da! We were just looking at pictures from Lynn's iPad 1 that's been out of commission for like 2 or 3 years. We found it and plugged it in, charged it up, and we found pictures of the very first day she got Cody. Now, he looked the same because he was a rescue and he was 2 at that time. But I would love to see this animal as a puppy. Like, can you imagine as a puppy, as a little handheld ball of fluff? Oh, God, it's heartbreaking thinking how cute. I know, he's really cute. He's pure love. But anyway, the point is that, all the problems on the planet are man-made. And a lot of that comes with how we relate to each other, the power we want over each other, the control we want over each other. It's all about relationship. How are we going to manipulate, somewhere along the line, somebody decided that we're going to manipulate people to get what we want. And that's when it all began. I don't know when that began, but there's a lot of institutions that have played into this, and I don't know, man. I don't know how to make it better for the planet, but I do know as individuals it comes down to our personal choice. How are we going to navigate this? How are we going to navigate our relationships? How are we going to navigate our past? It's very tangled when you look at it from this. But my point is that I think we can simplify it for ourselves. It's just about clarity. It's about letting ourselves off the hook for some of the decisions we've made, and honestly, that's what I'm going through right now. Is because I feel like I still am dealing with, making myself wrong for some of the decisions I made, and for how it's impacting other people, and it's stopping me from being, full on, present, joyful, all of that. Because when you feel bad about things like that, it becomes like, oh well, do I deserve to be this happy? Do I deserve to be this abundant? Do I deserve, right? And let yourself off the hook. Yeah, right. And so, but the thing is that like Lynn's like, well, why do you have to do all this, big picture stuff? Why can't you just make the choice? Just choose to let yourself off the hook. And I think that there are some cases where, yes, it's a choice. And it starts with a choice. Like I am choosing to let myself off the hook, but to do it, in this case for me, is going to require more than just saying, okay, I choose to let myself off the hook. I think there's a bigger picture purpose for what I personally am going through. Because, my pattern is whenever I go through an ordeal and then conquer it on the other side, I write a book or I make I turn it around and try to help people with it. In any case, this I think this comes up so much, this issue of relationships and feeling bad for following your passion, that I think really this is something that it's a message that I do have inside me to deliver. But before I can deliver it, I kind of got to go through it, get to the other side, and have my big aha. Yeah, what does it take? How do we forgive ourselves? There's so many techniques for self-forgiveness, and so far for me, and I've been through many, many, many really powerful ones, but it's clear that I've still got some stuff that I'm hanging on to, and still saying, yeah, that's probably. But even if I made a mistake, even if I did something actually wrong, you got your power. You got good, awesome. So okay, well, have fun watching that if you haven't already. You can still forgive yourself and get on with your life. And I think it is, in my case, in a lot of people's cases, the forgiving of yourself becomes difficult because because of the impact, whatever you're forgiving yourself for, it had an impact on other people. Like if it didn't have an impact on other people, like let's say, for example, I don't know, like this did not happen, but I'm just saying, let's say as a kid I vandalized a house or something. I think it'd be a lot easier for me to, like threw eggs at it or something. It'd be a lot easier for me to give myself for that than, causing all sorts of pain or whatever from leaving a marriage, right? It's just a totally different level of thing. And because of the people involved and the closeness of the relationships, I mean, it just becomes tough, particularly if those people are still going through a hard time. It's a dysfunctional thought that you should feel bad right along with them, because that serves nobody. I mean, because they're unhappy, you're cursed to an unhappy or unfulfilled life because they're unhappy, regardless of what you did, even if you did the most, a really terrible thing, which I didn't. But I'm just saying that regardless, you have to make that choice. My grandpa's 94. He says the first 100 years is the hardest. After that, it's easy. That is awesome. That is a wonderful line. You can help me through that. All right, Divine Lisa Long, I want you to do that. And so you direct message me. Are we connected on Twitter? And then when you help me, you can come on a blab with me and we can help the planet. How about that? Deal? Come on. You can do it. Because this would be a great blab. This would be a great service to people. The whole forgiveness thing and letting go of guilt and all that. So just be in touch with me. And if we're not connected yet, follow me. I'll follow you back, and then we can DM or you can just email me, whatever. What techniques are you using to forgive and separate? Well, what I should say is what have I done so far? It's been such a crazy journey. I'm not sure. There's so many different things, letters that you write to yourself, and just like meditative role playing, and there's just a lot of different things. But what I want is something deeper. What I'm looking for is something deeper. I suppose. But anyway, but it's all about relationship, is what I'm saying. Okay, so I feel like I went all over the place, which I forgive myself for that. See how easy? That was easy to forgive myself. And I appreciate you being here. And if let's put it this way, if Lisa Long comes along and gives me the bullet and I can get through this, then we're all going to benefit, right? Have you found that other deeper way? Well, that's what I'm working on now. And for me, the way that it's turning out now is it's this deep. It's a meditative process. It's about, really it's about pulling back, like taking like pulling out of my head, seeing my body, seeing this house, seeing the planet, seeing, the universe and all that, getting a big picture perspective and realize that those types of ahas. And it will all come down to, what it's going to ultimately come down to is a compassion for myself, an understanding of why I took whatever actions I did, knowing that I was always doing my best. And see, I can intellectualize all these things. I can say, well, I did. But there's clearly something deeper that is still saying, yeah, but, and I know because I get easily triggered by certain things. And when we're triggered by things, it means that there's still that energy in us. Otherwise, it wouldn't trigger us at all. So my indication that I'm not done with this yet, is that how easily I'm triggered by certain things that are said by certain people in certain ways that make me, want to be overly defensive or something like that. So that's my work, right? It's so easy to get angry at the person who makes you feel that way. Like, well, you just don't understand. Why don't you let it go, right? I can't. That's not for us to do. If somebody's angry at you for something that you did, you can't yell at them. You can't. I feel like I am. I feel like I have a family full of empaths, really. So yeah, and that may cause some of the problem, especially if I'm really connected, like with my kids and stuff. So when they're suffering, obviously I'm going to suffer. Somebody said to me the other day, and they said it was I don't remember who it was, but they said this an old saying that you can only be, I think it was I'm not sure. You can only be as a parent, you can only be as happy as your most miserable child, which it occurs as true, but is completely dysfunctional and not the way it should be. My trigger is a 19-year-old cutting me off and then giving me the finger out the window. See, and that's funny because that wouldn't trigger me at all. In fact, somebody pulled ahead of me on the highway the other day, gave me the finger. I have no idea why. We had plenty of space. And I'm like, okay, well, I did nothing. So I wasn't triggered at all. I was just looking at this guy going, what? It was funny to me. So that's a great indication. I mean, an example. Like if I had a different set of experiences or something, that could have really just, my brother's best friend couldn't stop crying. That's a prime example of, depending on your past, how the same situation can trigger a person or not. Anyway, the point is with all of that is it just shows me, well, this is an area that I still need to work on. And what I guess the bigness of the past couple of days is I'm seeing just how much of an impact it's having on my ability to fully enjoy this amazing life that I have. I have this amazing woman in Lynn. I've got this amazing puppy. I've lived in this amazing place. And but this whole idea that I feel like I've still got unresolved stuff, it detracts from it. It detracts from it. It keeps me from being fully present, like I really owning it, because it's like I don't deserve it, that kind of thing. And I go through waves of that, and this is just one of the more intense ones. Like I'm really clear that this is the time for me to have this, to wrap this up, to get done with this. It's been many years I've been carrying around this type of thing. I mean, I'm still functional. I'm still helping people. I'm still, things are, you know what I mean? It's not like catastrophe. But I know there's much better waiting on the other side of it. All right, folks. Phyllis McDade, all of you who just joined, I'm getting ready to wrap up. I've gone 42 minutes, which is a lot longer than I normally do. And you've kind of just seen me sort of ramble and stuff like that. So I don't know if you got value out of this or not. But I guess if there's any sort of message I want to say, it's, the importance of being able to forgive yourself. It's about understanding that relationships do evolve and I don't know, trying not to, and that it's important that when you get to that crossroads with relationships and what you want to do with your life, really get clear on love for life. Yeah, catch the replay. Yeah. All right, Julia, you and me, we're done with it. All right. So we should create a self-forgiveness Facebook group where we support each other through this process. All right, look, you guys, I love you all so very, very much. It's always so great to have you here, and it was fun to do a Wednesday scope. I will say hello to Lynn for you. Lynn and I are gonna. Hey, by the way, so Lynn and I'm gonna just spill the beans right now. Last year, and then I'm gonna wrap this up because this has nothing to do with law of attraction. Last year, Lynn and I did an online Christmas concert, me on the ukulele and her singing, and we were all dressed up in Christmassy things, and Cody had, I think, reindeer antlers on or something crazy. We had a lot of fun with that. It was on a platform called Concert Window. But this year, it's just total begging for Periscope. It'll be a Periscope holiday something or other. I'd really like to get over my cough first so I can sing better, but we're going to do that. And I'm sure it'll be an evening sometime, and it'll be fun with Bob and Lynn, but it'll be our Christmas thing. I think we'll do it on Periscope and not Blab, but that ought to be fun. And I think we might do it in here. I'm in the studio now, so we can run sound through my system and have a little bit more flexibility with creative audio options. But that'll be fun, huh? Little holiday musical cheer with Bob and Lynn. Okay. Thank you. And I hope you guys have I hope you got something out of this. But I will talk to you again on Friday at 10 a.m. for the next Law of Attraction Scope. And LisaLong.com. Perfect. I'm going to go there right after this. And everyone else can go too. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, day, week, weekend, year, life. I'll talk to you on Friday. Bye.